because when I came home after 8 years, I paroled out to my brother's walk-in closet.
I still got 3 years of parole left.
Heal, Help Elevate and Learn is a personal discovery guide to healing your inner child. This book has been years in the making, and Saccone recently realized that introducing you to yourself would not be complete without the introduction to your inner child. So many of us have been fighting our inner child, pacifying our inner child, or even worse, ignoring our inner child. Saccone wants to walk you through the process of making peace with your inner child to help you develop into a person who can thrive in any environment, and then teach others to do the same. Pre-order Heal, and get the audiobook version free.
Welcome to From Felon to Fabulous. I'm Brenda Ringwood. We have a spectacular guest for you today, but I kind of got to introduce my co-host. She's been there for me. She doesn't judge me. She loves me for who I am, and that's the people we're looking for to be in our circle. No judgment. People who love you for who you are, mistakes and all. Welcome, Isabel Black.
Hey, what's up, Professor of Change? How are you doing today?
I am good. I just got to look at some event space because, we are going to have a From Felon to Fabulous event soon.
I can't wait. I can't wait. We need to get all these people in one room and just inspire the heck out of people, because change is real, like you say, and all it requires is for us to say yes and to show up, right, with other like-minded people.
That's right. That is right. And, our guest that we have today has been through a lot. But we had some guests on here who have kind of been in and out of the system, or not, just in and came out and learned their lesson. But she's been in and out over a wide range of years. But now that she's been out, her last time, she's been out for like 13, 14 years. And she's making a difference. So she truly has went from felon to fabulous. So I'm going to bring up Stephanie Taylor-Thompson. Hey, Stephanie.
Hi.
It's so good to have you. You've got so much to share. I don't even really know where we should start. But since we went there about the in and out, let's talk about that. Why Why the in and out? What was going on?
Oh my goodness. Well, first, thank you so much to both of you for having me here today. This is a really wonderful opportunity. I love the work that you both are doing. So thank you for just being a great positive impact. It took me quite a while to just finally realize my worth, that I had some potential, and I was worth investing in. I started in the criminal justice system as a teenager and didn't get out until I was in my mid-30s. So finally, back on my feet, doing well. I've been out of prison for 13 years, just celebrated my 13-year anniversary February 11th, and coming up on 14 years of recovery next month. So super excited about that.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And we don't really talk about the crime here, but we do talk about the time, because you have to have experienced everything that goes with that to decide you're going to change your life, right? So where did you do some of your time at, and what was that like?
I think to really be able to discuss my time appropriately, I don't mind sharing about my crime. It's it's my past. It's not who I am. I take responsibility for what I've done, for what I've been involved in. But I was involved in human trafficking at a very young age, and was introduced to a trafficker as a teenager. And a lot of people, when they hear about human trafficking, they automatically jump to sex trafficking. And that was a part of my trafficking journey, if you want to call that. But mine was drug trafficking. I was a drug mule at a very young age for my trafficker. Totally groomed by him. He was 18 years older than me, had absolutely no business being around a 14-year-old girl. But that's how I got introduced to drug trafficking. So it's also how I got introduced to my addiction. I developed an addiction to methamphetamine and cocaine as a teenager, and my life just totally spiraled out of control from drugs. I have, drug possession charges, delivery charges, you name it. It's all centered around drug addiction.
I tell people, I spent time myself with people who were really just addicts, but here they are sitting in a federal holding facility because they're addicts, and the feds seem to think that they're going to get info out of them on, the higher ups. But the reality is they really just needed a really good rehab, and not 30 days. And if we could put something in place that could help that and address that, I think we would have a better solution. But our government doesn't want that, because it's all about the profit.
I think there's definitely, I'd agree with you that we've got to find a better alternative to treatment, like prison. And I think there's opportunities for treatment in prison, but we can't be utilizing that as a one size fits all method for treatment for people. I was definitely somebody that needed longer than 30 days of treatment.
Right.
I've been through in and out of so many treatment programs. Like I could teach the classes. And going into prison, it was the same treatment that I received when I was out. You've got relapse prevention, thinking for a change, MRT, all the same things that you take out in the community. And here I'm taking them again in prison for the 9th, 10th time.
And, I wasn't even involved in drugs, and I had to take MRT. And it was like, my class in the feds was a year-long class. And for those of you that are watching, MRT and mine stand for moral recognition therapy or something like that. And it was 95% drug related.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. I had to take a parenting class, and I didn't even have kids.
Wow.
So I just don't understand their logic behind it. It just makes no sense to me on some of the stuff. maybe that was the only class they had at the time, but I literally had to, and I finished it in 9 months, which they said nobody ever finishes outside of a year. But it was really a waste of my time. Plus the class was an hour away from where I live. And
Mhm.
most people who come out, they don't have a car, let alone a job to have the car. I was just very fortunate to be able to make that. But let's go there. What was the in and out like? What was the process? What was going through your mind? I know you said you had the addiction and the being the mule and things like that, but what finally said enough in your brain that I'm done?
Yeah, I think going in and out so much, I did not trust anybody. I didn't have anybody that I could trust, and I really did not trust law enforcement. I had a very hard time with law enforcement. So this last time that I was incarcerated, I was on felony supervision in Idaho, had absconded from my PO, took off to Montana, and was convicted of another felony drug crime there. Received a 10-year sentence there. Already had a 7-year sentence in Montana. So I'm looking at a 10-year sentence in Montana, 7-year sentence in Idaho. So I'm looking at 17 years total, and I just completely given up. I was so tired, addicted to drugs. My life was a complete mess, homeless, just you name it, all the things. So this last time I was incarcerated, I really didn't have a lot of hope until I got introduced to a volunteer who was serving through prison fellowship through a ministry, and she just completely changed the trajectory of my life. She was the first person that I really confided in that some of the things that I had been through. She was the first person that I confided in that I was a survivor of human trafficking. I didn't even know that I was a survivor of human trafficking. She helped me identify that because I thought the same thing so many other people think when they hear. She's like, Stephanie, did you know that you were a victim of human trafficking? I'm thinking, no, I didn't. She's like, this is what human trafficking is. And then a light goes off. Oh, yeah, been involved in that for 13 years. So Miss Katie was really the first one that I was just able to develop some rapport with.
I love that.
People don't realize that those programs, they think they're a sham. And there might be some that don't work as well, but prisonministry.org, is that the one you're talking about?
Prison Fellowship.
Prison Fellowship, yes. It is spectacular. We've got a guy here where I live he's an employee of theirs. He's now the mayor of Leavenworth as a felon.
Oh, that's Jermaine. He's one of my very good friends.
Yes, he's a great guy. Yes.
Yeah,
Great guy.
love
And I see
Jermaine.
the work that they're doing, and it's a passion. And because it's a passion, it's no longer a job, and they're doing what they love. And not only have I seen his mindset transform, I've seen his physical body transform, everything about him. And it's great to see that. This is a prison town that we live in, and sometimes it's not very forgiving. So for him to become mayor was just a really big deal.
Right.
Yeah. Remind me where you're from. Are you from Lebanon?
I am.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Jermaine is, not only are we colleagues, but he's a very close friend of mine and somebody that I consider a dear mentor. He's amazing.
Awesome.
He is amazing. So you get out this last.
Can I touch on something? I just want to reiterate what you guys just said, because that's why we do Felon to Fabulous. That's why we're doing what we're doing, right? Because that prison ministry is so important. And I think sometimes it feels very defeating because you go in there and you mentor to a lot of people, but it's just that one that you got to reach, right? You talked earlier about not having worth, not having trust. And did you say Miss Katie was her name?
Yeah, Katie Eckern.
Miss Katie continuing to say yes. Think of how many people she spoke to in her time ministering, and how many didn't resonate with her, didn't choose to change her life. But thank God You said yes. She touched you. You get trust. You found worth. You got a big scope of what was really going on in your life. And I'm really curious, someone who also was trafficking drugs at 14 years old was going to get sent away till I was 19, 18 on good behavior. Um, I know from my background, there was a lot going on in my life already up into the age 14 that even put me in that position to have those people to have access to you. So tell us a little bit about that. What led you there by 14? Because there had to be, I'm sure there's another story there attached.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think anybody who is in prison, there's a decision why you're there, but there's also, there's more to the story than what has just been, than the crime that was committed. And for me, definitely, I mean, I was totally groomed into human trafficking because I was a survivor of childhood abuse, childhood sexual abuse, neglect, emotional abuse, you name it. My dad was severely addicted to alcohol, coupled with a mental illness. That we had so much violence in my home from him. Like literally my younger sister and I, we would have to go hide in my bedroom closet because my dad was storming around our home with a rifle, shooting out windows. He was, really intoxicated, and it was just terrifying. My mom got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was 12 years old. And in the mid-90s, there just wasn't a lot of treatment for it. So we thought that we were going to lose my mother. And just everything totally fell apart when that happened. She was, the pillar in our family. Really, she struggled with mental illness too, but between her and my dad, she was the most stable one. So when she got sick, it was just totally devastating. And we had a family friend that really took advantage of that situation and ended up sexually abusing my younger sister and I. And so I coped with that and dealt with that the best way that I knew how, and just really internalized it and developed an eating disorder shortly after that, and just really started gravitating towards people, particularly men that were of any sort of father figure in my life. And that's how I got introduced to my trafficker and fell into that quite easily.
Right. Wow.
You've survived a lot. So you've been in and out of the slammer. You've been with drugs, that lifestyle, human trafficking, which you're right, most people think of that as sex, but there's so many other definitions that you could put into that. What changed that last time you came out? What was the process? So now you're out. You went in this last time and you said no more, but how did you overcome that? Once you hit the streets that last time, what was your life like?
Well, for me, what completely changed my life when I was in prison was being introduced to Christ. That is the foundation. Jesus is the foundation of my recovery, my restoration, my reentry, and my life completely changed when I was introduced to him. And that was through Miss Katie, the prison fellowship volunteer. And it's the first time that I've ever had any hope in my life, that I felt like I belonged somewhere, that I felt like I was worth something. And I knew that I was the daughter of the Most High King, that I was loved, that I was forgiven, and that he had a plan for me that wasn't just all of this awful mess that I had been through. That there was a message in my mess. So I was determined I was going to come out of prison better than what I went in, and just continued to totally rely on my faith, and really just continue to lean into Jesus and ask him for help every step of the way. And I got it. I got blessed with really, really amazing people, like right out from the gate, just wonderful people.
Yeah, when you say yes, he'll provide everything you need right where he's providing it anyway. Sometimes we're just too blind to see what's in front of us. So
Yeah.
love it, love it, love it.
It's transformation when you actually take that step.
Mm-hmm.
When you see, I need to do this, and you're saying it in your mind and you're just thinking about it, but then when you actually do it, that's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
It's really a big deal. It
Yeah,
is really
definitely.
a big deal. But how did you get away with the whole, how'd you get out of the human trafficking?
I was able to get away with from my trafficker in my early 20s. We'd gone through a really bad drug trafficking case, and a lot of people they don't get away from human trafficking alive. A lot of women and men, they end up dead from it. And one of the few promises that my trafficker made to me came true, and that if I ever left him or betrayed him, that I would end up, I wouldn't survive from it. So I ended up kidnapped, and my life almost got taken away from me. So sexually assaulted really bad, placed into a medically induced coma. I nearly did not survive from that assault, but grace of God, I'm here today, and I'm able to talk about it.
Right.
It
Well,
is
you're
the
more than
grace
just
of God.
talking about it. You're giving back. You're helping other people be survivors and find that same hope. And kudos to you. And I'm so glad you're here.
Oh
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You also help others with reentry.
I
So
do.
you've been where a lot of them are, and you're helping them through that. Talk through that with us.
Well, there's a long story that goes behind that. When I got out of prison, one of the people that I was blessed with in my life who just had such a profound positive impact in my life was actually my PO. She was amazing, just such a phenomenal person, and became one of the strongest mentors in my life, and later actually became one of my bridesmaids in my wedding. A lot of people can't say that they had their parole officer in their line, but I did. But I really was able to watch her and see the impact that she had in my life, how she helped me have a structured reentry. Because I had a reentry plan when I came out. It just totally fell apart. So she helped me put a reentry plan together and worked with me through that. And after seeing the impact that she had on my life and how so many other officers and probation and parole had a positive impact in my life, I decided that I wanted to work in corrections. So I put myself through college and got this crazy idea that I was going to go work back for the Idaho Department of Correction, and was told no over and over and over by so many people, like, you're crazy. You think that's going to happen. You've been convicted of felonies 4 different times. But I just listened to God and was, faithful and obedient, and drove up to the Department of Corrections central office in Boise and sat outside their office until I was able to talk with the director. And I said, I want to get an internship with the department. This is my strategic plan, but I would like to see some changes done, and I'm your person to do it. I would love to help. So he took a big chance on me. He was a person that believed in second chances and the power of restoration, and that there was potential for change in anyone. So I got my internship with the Idaho Department of Correction, and then actually went to work for them as a state employee, first person with a background like mine. So that's where I started as a reentry specialist, and really just looking at ways where we could bridge that gap between prisons and the community. There's so often so many times where there's that siloed effect, like there's probation, there's prisons, and there's not really that bridge between them. So as a reentry specialist, that's what my job was bridging that gap and ensuring that nobody else ever got released the way that I did.
Okay. Nice. So tell me some ideas for the people listening, right, who are just getting out and in that reentry phase and maybe feeling lost still and a little hopeless and stuff. How do you begin to forgive yourself for some of the roles you played, right, in the life you were living and stuff? How do you begin to shed that guilt and everything that comes attached that sometimes is what steals that hope from people, even when they're offered a new opportunity?
Yeah, it's so hard. I mean, that guilt and that shame it'll just drown you if you let it. There's all things. I mean, there's still things I think about, and I'm like, oh, this, I can't believe that I did this. Or there's still things that come up. I'm like, I would love to reach out to this person and apologize to them, but you just have to look at it and say, where can I find a message in my mess? Like, what can I do to make some positive out of the negative situation? How can I give back to the situation in a positive way? So that's what I would encourage people to do. If you're struggling, you're struggling with that guilt and that shame, find ways that you can make a message out of it. Like, what are ways that you can turn it into positive, like give back to someone and help them?
Right. I love
Stephanie,
that.
look down at the bottom of the screen. Somebody just sent you a message.
Oh my goodness, Jermaine. I love you, Jermaine.
I sent him a text. I guess who's on the show, so he got on to see you.
Yeah, happy second chance to you too, brother. I love you, and I'm proud of you.
That's awesome.
It's a community. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said, I do this show From Felon to Fabulous, but it's a community of people, like-minded people that really want change in their own lives, and then they want to help others. And I said something to somebody, and I said, we can't let you on the show because you're still on probation. And I hated to say that, but the whole thing is overcoming it and moving on. So come back with us and, let's look at you a little bit later. And then I had somebody that said, oh, I would love to participate in that. Can I be a co-host? And I said, no, because you won't be accepted. So it was like one way to the other, that unfortunately you had to have something in the prison life to have some qualifications here, because you're not going to understand. You're not going to understand the lingo, the mindset, the terminology, unless you've either gone yourself, or you have family members that's been there, or you've worked in the system. And when I tell that to people, they don't understand it. And I said, that's exactly why, because you don't understand it. And it really is a mindset. It's a way of life. And for us that have been in, we have to come out, and we are judged for everything we do. And we're already starting off with that black cloud of doom over us. Whatever they thought of us is magnified, and they're just waiting for you to mess up again. So now you have this 13-year track record of not going back in. You got saved. You are working with reentry. You're working with people that have been where you are. You're making a difference. That's huge. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I never take for granted any day that I'm here, because really I shouldn't be. It's by the grace of God that I'm still here, and being able to do the things that I've been able to do with my life, and now being able to serve with the same ministry that had such a profound impact in my life. Like I always joke with Prison Fellowship, but I say I'm here forever. You guys can't ever get rid of me. Because I love the work that we do. Like, we just get to, there's nothing better than being able to serve men and women in prison, and also being able to share the good news about Jesus.
Right.
Absolutely. Amen.
And you travel to do this, right? You're not just doing it locally, you're traveling, you're making a big impact in this world.
Yeah, it's an absolute blessing. Like, it has been so wonderful to be able to, not only serve in my state, but serve men and women across the country, and just, seeing what else can be done, what other changes can we make, and most importantly, just letting someone know that they're not alone and they're so loved, they're thought about. I tell people all the time, like, you have people praying for you that don't even know your name. They don't know why you're here. They don't know why you're in prison. They don't care why you are in prison. They love you.
Right. And while you mentioned that, I thought a minute ago when you mentioned people that you would love to apologize to, or things like that, one thing I learned was that, because I had the same thoughts as I was transforming my mindset and transforming my life. But God told me, I can ask them for forgiveness through prayer. I didn't have to reach out, and I can send them love and send them light and positive energy, and it's just as effective. So just because you can't physically reach out to somebody and make amends, you can make amends through prayers. So I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. I know first and foremost, we've been forgiven. I mean, Jesus paid the ultimate price for us, and we've been forgiven for everything. And I think the best form of best ask for forgiveness that I can do with people is just ensure that, I'm doing better each day, and I'm giving back, and I'm ensuring that others, doing anything that I can to ensure that people are able to come out of prison better than what they went in, or not even enter at all.
Right. True.
Yes.
So do you do any speaking to outside of the prison for at-risk people or youth? Or, I'm sure there's plenty of people that could use some guidance and some advice so they don't end up in prison. They're already on the path, maybe.
Yeah, so I do. I'm a keynote speaker. I speak across the country, and then I mentor men and women on my own time. I speak to at-risk youth, so really do quite a bit to give back where I can.
That's awesome. That is so awesome.
Well, I'm proud of you, and I just met you, so I think it's fantastic that. Well, but you're giving back, and not too many of them. So it's been my experience. I'm trying to give back, but it's been my experience that people either don't want to talk about it, shut down about it, try to ignore that part of their past, or they either go the opposite direction and really want to help. It's kind of like, this either or. And then you have those who keep going back and keep going back and keep going back and keep going back. And they're expected to go back by themselves. They know that they're going to go back. And that's the part that I have a hard time with. I did my crime. I did my time, and I don't want to go back. I tell people all the time, I don't ever want to go back, but I am really glad that I went, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. And I thought my testimony was over. I thought it was over. I was a believer going in. I didn't get saved in prison, so I knew better. But what I just realized is God forgives. People forgive. I can forgive. And forgiveness is for me. It's not necessarily for everybody else. And when I take note of that, now I can begin to live again.
Amen. Yeah, and I think it goes back to, we have to recover loudly, no matter whether you have an addiction or whatever you went to prison for, you're recovering from something. Going into prison alone is traumatic. That's a trauma that you have
Yes.
to recover from. So if we all recover loudly, we're going to help somebody else from recovering silently. So that's why
Right.
we have to keep talking about it. It took me, like, I got released in 2011, and I didn't publicly share anything about me. I didn't speak publicly until 2016, and I'm so, like, I regret that so bad that I didn't
Mm-hmm.
talk sooner. And now, like, I am not ashamed one bit to tell somebody that I'm system impacted, that I've been in prison. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
bother me at all. This is my story. I embrace it. And most of all, this is what Jesus has done in my life. And this is what will happen
That's
in your
the story
life.
right there. Yes, that's the
testimony.
story.
Yeah, your second chance is welcoming Christ into your life. Like, there is your second chance too. That is the key to your second chance.
I had a friend today. Her name is Melody Brisbane, and I did time with her. And I only did a little bit of time because I was getting out as she was coming in. And so this would have been 2018, maybe the end of 2017. So she sent me this text message today. She said, sober and saved 9 years today. This just came today. I said, amazing. She said, the longest run of my life. And I said, you got this. And she said, no, God does.
Yes, so
Yeah.
true.
And yes, so this woman was supposed to get a 12-year sentence, ended up getting an 8-year sentence, getting home in 4 from the feds. That's just unheard of.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Came home with the ankle monitor she was supposed to have on for, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. It was off in a couple months.
Wow.
You'll never know. Like, you just never know what God's plans are in your life. I never, if you would have told me 14 years ago that this is what I would be doing in my life, I would have told you that you were crazy. Like, in 2017, I was just getting so tired of my background continuously coming up all the time and just placing so many barriers. And so I'd reached out to a couple attorneys in Idaho and Montana, and, was just inquiring, what could I do to get pardoned? Is that an option at all? And some of them, like, I got some really colorful language back to me, like, there's no way that will ever be an opportunity for you.
Yeah.
Like, that is, don't even think about it. So I just listened to God, and it said, okay, I'm going to study this statute on my own. I'm going to study federal statute, state statute, whatever I have to do. So I did that for years and applied for my pardons on my own, did them on my own, and was granted 2 full pardons by 2 different governors in 2017. So I serve in my free time by doing that for others and helping them go through the clemency process. But yeah, never underestimate God. It's
And you were
No,
willing to
he's
do the
powerful.
work. You were willing to do the work. When people told you no, you said, well, I need to find this out for myself and cover all bases and make sure, not just take people's word. That's recovering loudly. I'm so proud of you. You're going to hear me say that so many times today, because what a story, what an inspiration. I hope the people listening, if they have any questions, I hope they reach out to you, and we'll get that information out later. But don't suffer in silence. Don't think that it's everybody but you, because God chooses all of us. It's just a matter of us answering the call.
Yeah, we all, I tell everyone all the time, I'm not anything special. Like, everybody else has the same potential to recover and thrive. Like, we just have to lean in and have faith and really do the work. If I had $1 for every time I was told no, I couldn't do something, I'd be really, really comfortable.
Yeah, I get told that a lot too. So I got to ask you, what was your hustle?
Mine, using drugs or abusing drugs. What do you?
No,
What
in
do you
prison, what was your hustle?
I didn't have one. I honestly, I did my prison time pretty straight this last time. It was, I really just took if anything, it was tutoring. Like I tutored other women in
Well,
prison.
that's a hustle.
That's a hustle.
Yeah. Tutored other women and worked while I was in there. Just worked really, really hard.
So I was a popcorn fanatic. I still am. So I learned to draw in prison. So my hustle was drawing, and I would draw for popcorn because you could only buy 4 popcorn on your commissary. So one day I went to court, and it was a big court date for me. And a lot of the girls knew it was just not going to be a good day. And my indictment was getting superseded. So I knew I was getting superseded. I just didn't know what that process was going to be like. And I went from 10 charges to 26 charges. And when I came back, my whole bed was full of popcorn. Everybody had bought popcorn and put it on my bunk. And that was what I came back to. So it was, I met some really cool people in there. Really cool people. Met some really bad people too. And I'm not anti-prison. I'm not anti-police. I believe there's some people that never need to come out. But I also believe that there's some that really didn't need to be there, that there was other avenues and options for them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else to say to our viewers? Where can they find you at? How can they communicate with you?
Yeah, I think it's been wonderful to be here. Just thank you so much for the opportunity. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, you can reach me at Stephanie Taylor-Thompson @gmail.com. I am also on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all the places. Happy to connect with you. And I'm more than happy to be a support. I love hearing back from my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ and just seeing what I can do to help.
And I'm
That's
interested.
amazing.
Yes, thank you. But I'm really interested, like, what do you see? Is there a goal that you have that you haven't reached yet? You've accomplished a lot, but is there still something that you're working towards? What can we expect from you in the next 5 years?
I'm going to go to law school.
Yes.
I'm going to go to law school, and eventually I will be a state representative at some point. I'm currently getting mentored in that and some training. And
yes, they need you.
And with a pardon, you are eligible for that. Some states you're eligible anyways, even without a pardon. So I know in the state of Kansas, you can't do law, but you can in the state of Missouri with the felony.
Well, I've still got some hurdles to get through. My pardons didn't expunge, they didn't erase my record, but I just know with whatever comes up that God's got me, and I've got a real strong backbone now.
If he wants you in there, he's going to get you in there. There's no questions, qualms, quirks. It's going to happen. So, he opens doors. He promises the faith of a mustard seed will move mountains, and my mountains got moved. So I know it's real. I know that other people can have the life that they want, regardless of what their past is. You don't have to go to prison for that. You don't have to go to prison for that. So, Stephanie, thank you so much for being on the show. We've got a couple commercials. Stay tuned afterwards so we can chat for a minute. But thank you so much again for joining us. It's been a pleasure. I love your faith, love your story. And who knows, we might have some more people in common. So thank you again.
Thank you.
that loves. Because you can still stand tall and be as big as you want to be when you are this person.